Okay. Right. Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you're all doing well today. Welcome to Uncover the Right Idea. This is the second networking shop this semester, and thank you again for joining us today. My name is Mumbai Handara. I'm a St. Mary's University student, and I am studying business, majoring in economics, as well as pursuing cooperative education. So I'm really excited to see what Liam has in store for us today and just what the whole workshop is about and networking with everybody who's joined us on this call today. Welcome again for joining us. And to those of you who attended the workshop last week, welcome back. This was the Women Leading Startups Fireside Chat this past Tuesday. If this is your first time joining us for the network, it's simply like a hybrid. So we're going to be doing part workshop and then part networking a little bit later. So today we will start off with the workshop part and learn how to find a startup idea with potential. And then we will move to the networking part where you'll get a chance to practice your new skills with someone in a room, a virtual room, let's just say. So as I mentioned, this is the second part of an 8-part series this semester. The Network Shop series is a partnership between 7 universities in Atlantic Canada. So this includes St. Mary's University, University of Prince Edward Island, Memorial University, Dalhousie University, the University of New Brunswick, Cape Breton University, and last but not least, Mount St. Vincent University. So we have 5 network shops, including today, and these are designed to be an introduction to startup creation. You'll learn tools and resources that you can use to get started, and you'll be inspired and motivated by our speakers, and you'll build a network of like-minded people from across Atlantic Canada. There are also 2 remaining fireside chats titled Women Leading Startups. So one is next week, Tuesday, on October 20th at 12 p.m. Atlantic time and 12:30 Newfoundland time. These chats are brought to you by the Canadian Ecosystem Gathering and will feature a different female identifying startup founder from Canada each month. This event is open to all females identifying students who want to be a part of a supportive virtual entrepreneurial community. So make sure to check out the links for the events and sign up for them as soon as possible. Okay. So also, before you leave this event today, check out the virtual booths that should be on your left. There are a couple of amazing opportunities available for student entrepreneurs with Next 36 and Global Student Entrepreneurs Award. Both have upcoming deadlines to apply, so make sure you check up the dates for the deadlines and apply if this is something that interests you. So on to what we have for today. So today's network shop will have Liam Flanagan, program coordinator with Invest Ottawa. So Liam is going to help those of you who are looking to find a startup idea and how to find out if that idea is worth pursuing. Before I welcome Liam to the stage, I want to give an overview of how today's events are kind of going to flow and how everything's going to go. So we'll start off with Liam, and he'll give us a 25-minute presentation on ideation and customer interviews. Please feel free to add any questions to the stage chat, which is on your right at any point during the session, and I'll try bring that to light and try make sure Liam gets all your questions in. Please, please, please don't be shy. Just bring in all the questions. That's what we want. We need like utmost engagement, and that's how you're going to get the most out of this experience. So Liam will then assign you a task to complete based on his presentation. This exercise will be in collaboration with a buddy here in the room. But don't worry about finding the right buddy. We're going to take care of that. And all you just need to do is go onto a feature called Hopin, and everything will be ready for you. So for those of you who don't know Hopin or how it works, I'll just explain that to you. So if you click on the networking button on the left side of your screen, you just add agree to add camera and microphone, and you'll be matched with a buddy. The networking feature seems to be a little bit scary at first, but we promise it really isn't. And it's a valuable way to meet new people if you give it a try. So really, this is stepping out of your comfort zone. That's what this is all about. You'll never get to grow and expand if you don't step out of your comfort zone. So be open to it. After 12 minutes, you'll come back to the main stage for a debriefing of the exercise, and then you're done. Simple, easy peasy. I'll explain that again a little bit later if it was confusing, but it should be simple enough to figure out. So on that note, I am going to invite Liam to join us on the stage, please.
Hello, thank you, Vimbai. Thank you for the introduction and for the fantastic intro to everyone listening in today.
Of course. Welcome, Liam. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. I'm going to let you take it away. I'll come back on screen after the presentation to remind everybody again how to join the networking. Sorry.
No worries at all. I get some sounds as well. Well, hello, everyone. I'm very excited to be here today. My name is Liam Flanagan. As mentioned, I'm a program coordinator with Invest Ottawa, but I think I should let everyone know I'm a commerce graduate of Memorial University. I've worked with the Memorial Center for Entrepreneurship for some time, and I love everything that is happening with this grander Atlantic Canadian connection with all these other universities. It's so exciting to me. 81 people now watching. I'm from India and from Egypt. This is the type of stuff that gets me really, really energized. Today, we're going to be talking about finding yourself a business idea. Now, I know a lot of people listening in today are probably interested in entrepreneurship. They're probably wondering, they probably want to start a business in some way, shape, or form moving forward, but you may not know where to start. So today's presentation that we're going to be doing is all about that. It's all about, okay, how can I use my experience in university, my experience on work terms, and my personal skills and talents to find a business idea that is a good fit with me, something I can do well and do well moving forward into the future. So I guess we can now bring up my slides and I can jump right into it. Oh my goodness, amazing. Let's just make that full screen and I'll check back to see if that's working. Nope. So just 1 second, I'll stop sharing and I'll share a new screen here. How about now? How are we doing? Oh, that looks fantastic. Thank you everybody for staying with me. This is going to be a bit of a different presentation. I usually stand up to do these, but I don't have a good spot in this apartment. So instead, I'm sitting on this lovely couch in a room that is almost entirely empty. So please send comments, chats along to give me some energy to go through this, because I'll really just kind of be looking at the slides the whole time. But today we're going to be talking about uncovering the right idea. So discovering the problems that people will pay to solve, discovering problems that you can create a business that can solve those problems and actually be successful. So when we're talking about startup ideas, and specifically today, the origin of those startups ideas, we need to think about all the different ways that ideas can come from you and to you. There's three kind of major ways that come internally, come from you, that you can create a business idea out of. And that's your skills, your interests, and your passions. These are all amazing ways to get ideas because you're interested in those things. Your skills and your interests and your passions are things that maybe you're already good at. Maybe it's something that you like a lot. You'll notice people make careers out of things they enjoy all the time because they're willing to put in the time and effort to do it on their own. And that's frequently where an idea can come from if other people are willing to pay for it. The final one that comes from you is when you experience an unexpected failure or a problem. And this can be in the workplace or outside. But if you experience a problem directly, that can really help you to create a startup idea of your own. And if we look at some other startup ideas, we can think about more commercial solutions, like to solve a local need that's not being met for individuals or companies. A great example of a company I've worked with in the past and is known in Atlantic Canada is Misa Smart Home Thermostats. And they're a smart home thermostat in the same way Google Nest is. However, they target homes that have baseboard heating, like this apartment I'm in, which has not needed to be turned on because it's like 25 degrees here with humidity and I'm sweating constantly. But basically, the baseboard heater smart home thermostat market was untouched. There was no offerings in it. So this commercial solution was able to fill that gap in the market. Ideas can also come from your environment. So you can scan the media, look at trends, see what's out there for new ideas of businesses, or you can look at growth sectors. Right now, remote working, hard to not think about that as a growth sector. I know a lot of people say that I would be working from home, but I currently say that I'm living at work. So I'm still working full time, even though my office is in Ottawa. And those sorts of things are a great opportunity for businesses as well. Changes in the law, there's always opportunities there. And then finally, inefficiencies. And this is really what we want to focus on today, inefficiencies in the marketplace. So if we take some examples of inefficiencies, we have businesses like Heyorka, for example, another great Atlantic Canadian startup. Heyorka really comes from a very interesting place of inefficiencies. And the other one is Rent the Runway. I'll describe both of them. Heyorka is a software solution for social media marketing agencies that helps them collaborate more efficiently with their clients. Let's say that I am Coca-Cola and I hire a marketing agency to create my Twitter posts. I don't want them to just post things on Twitter. I want to be able to approve them. In the past, this meant sending emails back and forth using Google Docs and having calls and things of that nature. But Heyorka creates an online platform where I can view how the posts will actually look when they're posted. They can be scheduled in real time, but they won't be actually sent out sent out into the world until I approve them as the person from Coca-Cola. So that was an example of an inefficiency, emails and Google Docs, that were replaced by a single platform to make things easier. And Rent the Runway is a online rental site for high fashion. So instead of having to go out and buy fashion goods and they turn out to be thrown away or whatever the case may be in the future, Rent the Runway allows individuals to rent in a variety of different ways, the highest quality and most up-to-date fashion available. So Rent the Runway is another good idea of exploiting and using an inefficiency. So you may be wondering, how do you find an inefficiency within a workplace? It's not really as simple as just focusing on your skills and your passions, but that of course should tie in. You shouldn't work on a business idea that you aren't very interested in, because then you won't be interested to pursue it. Some people are interested in having a business idea. So they're more interested in the journey than what they're working on. And that's fantastic. If that is how you are, focus on the journey and find something that fits in with that. But for a lot of people out there, you need it to be something you're already interested in. So consider that when you're looking at these inefficiencies. But an inefficiency that is very common in the workplace that you can potentially solve with a business is a manual or repetitive process. Dr. Tom Cooper, a professor at Moreland University, talks a lot about his first business that he started, which was a paper shredding company. And basically what he realized as a work-term student working for these companies was that they just hired work-term students to shred mass amounts of paper because they didn't want to do it. It was manual and it was repetitive, and they were willing to pay a work-term student to do it. Why wouldn't they be willing to pay a business? A process is a series of actions that you take in order to achieve a result. So you may be thinking, oh, I don't know any processes out there, but really processes are happening all the time, all around you. I made my breakfast this morning, which was a piece of toast and a fried egg, which I eat every single day. So I know the process very well, but it's still a process, a series of action. And I'm sure I could make it more efficient somehow. Like maybe I could get a better stove, or I could not meticulously toast my bread to the perfect temperature, or whatever it is. But that is a process that potentially could be improved. So when you're looking for an inefficiency, especially in the workplace, and for those of you on co-op work terms, it's a great time to look for those inefficiencies. You want to detail that process step by step. So for me, again, making breakfast, you can go as far back as you want. Like I wake up in the morning, I spend 30 minutes on my phone because I am still kind of in self-quarantine in this house, and it is very depleting of energy, and I waste my time on my phone. Then I get out of bed, I get dressed, I go to the kitchen, I turn on the stove, find a pan, grab an egg, crack it. You can detail these processes step by step to try to find that level of inefficiency. Maybe me just saying that now, I realize, hey, my whole morning could be better if I just don't spend a half hour on my phone. Very obvious. You will likely not have an obvious process like that, but detailing processes step by step can be amazingly important. Now, in order to provide another example of how this process can work and how an identified inefficiency can lead to a successful technology business right here in Atlantic Canada, I want to share with you all the story of Collab Software, another company based out of Newfoundland and Labrador. I believe Anaya has a video that she can now share directly with you all here in our fun little conference that we're in. So could we share that now with everyone?
My name is Adam Keating, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Collab Software. We're a company that started about 2.5 years ago here in St. John's after we graduated from mechanical engineering at MUN. And today we help teams that build engineering products build those faster through engineering collaboration tools for design reviews and issue tracking. Collab itself started purely out of kind of identifying things from our own experiences, whether they were student teams or the work terms that we have been on. Over and over again, we saw teams would track issues in spreadsheets. We'd see teams struggling to communicate about 3D design files. We'd see people not know how they could share things with their supply chain properly. And then we got to a point where we started asking questions. And when we started asking the question, like, why do you do this? There was no good answer. If you could find a problem, even on the work term, and they were willing to let you work on it at all, whether it was even doing a bit of research or building some kind of like proof of concept, even internally, whether it was even with a spreadsheet, something just to help fix part of that, it kind of signaled to me that they were willing to put time behind it beyond just giving you a conversation. So in my case, I actually built small little tools. They definitely weren't scalable. They still use a lot of bad frameworks, but it fixed part of the problem, and that made people super happy. That was like the first validation that you could build something that people wanted and solve part of that problem. And for me, then you could ask many questions. You could ask, what do you like about this? What don't you like about this? If we were to do X, Y, Z, would it be worth it? Lots of times they might tell you, hey, this is my problem, but you got to kind of read between the lines. Because sometimes you can infer there's a much bigger problem that's actually here. Like in our case, people didn't directly complain about the spreadsheets. They complained about we're not getting projects done on time. So we actually had to go back and start thinking about how do we piece this back? What are the actual pain points that tie that together? So ask as many questions as you possibly can, because everyone is in that game to try and help you. And then if they're willing to help, bounce the idea back, throw an idea their way. I think the biggest thing for students here in Newfoundland or going to MUN is you need to realize like a bigger vision. Things might feel like small problems. You may feel like you're in a small place, but we can really compete at like a global level on these things. And it only takes a couple of experiences to see that. So like get involved with student teams, get involved with MC on your work term, see if you can get involved with other groups and figure out what those opportunities are. And then don't settle for thinking super small about something, like figure out what the whole picture is. And a lot of times you'll be super surprised that the opportunity is much bigger and that you're in a position that you can actually do something about it yourself.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Anea. And thank you to the folks at Collab for allowing that story to be recorded. Does anyone have any questions or thoughts about that story? There's a number of things that jump out immediately to me about finding those inefficiencies. I'm looking at the chat right now on Hop In. I'm seeing some messages from George and Dipoli, who I said hello to just a moment ago. But really, I'm looking to understand what you folks are thinking about when you hear those things. Grace is looking to recruit. Great job, Grace. We've got some hopefully fantastic people in this event who could join on with your program. What interests me about Adam Keating's talk about his business Collab just then is a couple of things. First and foremost, he really talked about that inefficiency idea. So he talked about how the fact that people were using spreadsheets for not the specific form of spreadsheet use. So they were using spreadsheets to create planning documents and guides and schedules, things that spreadsheets weren't ideally made for. And that's okay, but what they learned was that specific inefficiency was creating a problem further down the chain. Projects weren't being completed on time. And because projects weren't being completed on time, people had a problem. They were frustrated. And it can become very hard to differentiate between something like the symptom of your pain point and the pain point itself. For Collab's example, they talked to people within their company and the work terms they were on, and people said, oh, projects aren't being done on time. We need them to hurry up. And it wasn't clear right away why they weren't being done on time, but quickly they learned there was an inefficiency somewhere within that larger process. And they targeted it down to those spreadsheets to say, hey, we found a part of the process that's leading to an inefficient result and causing a pain point for these clients. Let's try to fix it. Florian, I see in the chat telling everyone to get involved with the Center of Entrepreneurship at your university. Absolutely. Another thing Collab recommended. Talking to people like the 86 people who are listening in right now, and myself and Florian and Elise and Grace, These are all fantastic people to connect with because you can bounce your ideas off them and try to figure out, okay, is my inefficiency worth continuing on? I'm trying to keep up my energy here. I'm sitting on the couch. Again, usually stand up. So keep comments coming. Those are the most exciting things in the world to me. So if you have any feedback or you think I'm being low energy, you can just comment and say, pick it up, Liam, pick it up. So now that we've kind of highlighted where some business ideas can come from, we want to talk about another thing that Adam from Colab mentioned, which is interviewing people within a business or who are experiencing a problem that you have identified. How do we interview them to figure out what we can do to solve it? Really, we have two major types of interviews here. We have problem identification interviews and we have customer interviews. So problem identification interviews are what many of you will be doing. That's when you don't have a problem identified already. You just have an area of interest, maybe it's related to your skills or your work term, and you want to learn more. You want to learn how a potential problem that you are going to find via these interviews can be solved. Once you have a problem in mind that you're interested in solving, an inefficiency you'd like to make efficient, you can do more customer interviews where you have assumptions about your solution, you have assumptions about the problem, and you can go from there. We need both to develop business ideas. But today we're going to focus on problem identification interviews to uncover these inefficiencies within a workplace, because that's where I assume most everyone is starting. So what are you looking for when doing interviews? I love interviewing people. I love talking to people. I love learning more. And essentially, you want to really just have a conversation with people when you are thinking about a business idea. So let's say you're doing a work term at what's a good example of a company that exists? You're doing a work term in the sales department of a food company. You're selling food throughout Atlantic Canada. You want to talk to the people who work in your department about what they've been experiencing to try to understand, are there significant problems that exist that aren't being solved right now for this company? And yeah, really what you want to look at through these interviews are painful inefficiencies, an understanding of the impact of these inefficiencies, and which inefficiencies people most want to be addressed. The painful inefficiencies that Adam at Colab saw were the spreadsheets. The impact that they understood was the projects being delayed, and they eventually got to a point where they could rank the inefficiencies that people were experiencing in their workplace and determine which one people wanted to have addressed first. Now, this is a question I get all too often. And thank you, Riley, for telling me to pick it up. Love that. One thing that people ask me all the time is, but Liam, how do I get interviews? How do I talk to people? And I know it can be tough. It can be nerve-wracking to try to approach someone, try to get someone to talk to you. But really, especially for those who are going out on work placements or who have a job right now, such as myself, the best place you can start is your immediate colleagues in the workplace. Because one, and this is something that is very important to me working remotely, it's a great way to connect closer with your colleagues. You never have to solve the problem that a colleague addresses in an interview or anything like that, but just learning about their problems and what they experience day to day can help you understand your business better, not just a potential problem to solve. So asking your colleagues and just reaching out to whoever you think is the most relevant within your company is the best way to start this process. Connections, family, friends, and colleagues, etc., are also a very good place to start, because maybe you have an uncle who's in the oil and gas industry where you want to focus, or you have an aunt who's a professional musician where you want to start things. These can be valuable ways to get there as well. And finally, when you're doing these interviews, you want to talk to more than 3 people. You want to talk to 10 people to understand if there's an actual trend here and it's not just common amongst the 2 or 3 people you spoke to. So a recommendation for getting more and more interviews, once you exhaust any of these lists of colleagues, family, or friends, is to ask them to recommend someone else who they think is experiencing the same things that they are. So a colleague of yours might recommend a former colleague at a different company, or that aunt in the music industry might recommend their producer who is doing work on their next album. And then when you do that next person, you can do more and more and more. Ask for more and more connections. And that's why this is called the snowball technique. But this is essentially the way that we start to get interviews. And yes, Anwar, did my explanation come through about snowball technique? Do you understand what I mean? Wait a second to hear his response and I'll come back. But essentially, when we're talking about interviews, job shadowing is a really, really good way to get interviews and to learn more about a problem before you even start talking to someone. Job shadowing is spending time observing and speaking with multiple individuals around multiple operational areas of a business, wherever you're interested in. And there's lots of other modules in this 8-session program that you should all attend to learn more about this. When we're talking about job shadowing, one thing that Adam also said, Adam from Colab in that video, that I find really impactful was he said he asked if he could work on a problem. That initiative is something that everyone listening to this should consider when going out into the world and trying to do this. People say, oh, there is no job shadowing opportunities for me. If your program is a co-op program and you're going to be working for a company for 4 months, simply ask to job shadow in whatever departments you're interested in. A lot of businesses and a lot of programs are more interested in helping students than you may realize. You can go to any stranger and say, hey, I'm a university student. I'm hoping to talk to you about a problem. And most people will be interested in doing that because people love talking to students. They absolutely love it. So consider that the next time you're going out there. I've already touched on this a little bit, but how many interviews are enough? Does anybody have any ideas? You can post it in the chat now. If you have any ideas there, we'll just keep it going. When I ask people how many interviews are enough, frequently they may say, oh, 10, 15, 3, whatever they think is the right amount. But realistically, the number of interviews you want are the number of interviews that show you a pattern. You want to start hearing similar things. So when you're doing interviews and you talk to, say, 5 people, and you start to say, oh, hey, wait a minute. Everyone's giving me this same type of response illustrated in this diagram by the red ovals. You can start to highlight those things and say, okay, I'm hearing more and more about this. And then you want to stop learning new things. So you want to hear the core problems, not, of course, little small things like, oh, someone has an interesting dog name or whatever the case may be. You want to stop hearing new problems, new big problems that a person in a specific role or industry is experiencing. And then you have enough interviews and enough demand to really make a business that's worth pursuing. Now that we've talked about it's never enough, Audrey, 3, not more than 5, Janani. Oh, I love these answers. As many as you can get. Lots of really good answers there from everyone about how many interviews to do. I agree. Never stop. Even after you develop a product and business, it's valuable to always stay in touch with your customers. Think about every business that you are a huge fan of. Have they ever reached out to you? Have you ever heard from them or done a survey to say how much you like them? If you haven't, that business should be doing more to reach out to you and trying to get you to say something, because learning more from your valuable customers is the best. Now that we've talked about why we do interviews to find a business, a potential problem to solve, inefficiencies that we want to target, and how to get interviews, we're going to quickly go over some do's and don'ts. So really what everything on this slide breaks down to is you want an interview to be a conversation between 2 people. You want to be listening to them as much as possible, so ask them to record if you can, and be personable, create a candor, create a relationship between you and this other person that you can actually dive into questions. You can order a question list if you want. Be willing to deviate, be willing to improvise, be willing to be personable. It's a conversation, not truly an interview. You don't want to accept things at face value. You want to really get to the core of what a person is saying about motivations, problems, frustrations, and stories. The more you can listen and watch someone, the more you can pay attention. I've always heard stats like 80% of communication is nonverbal. And I'm like, that's great. Don't understand where the number came from. But there's a lot of nonverbal stuff you want to pay attention to. So if you can, learn from that. And of course, ask open and neutral questions. My marketing research prof at Memorial, Rochelle Shanahan, would murder me if I didn't tell everyone to make their questions open and neutral so you minimize your bias on a potential interview. Hear their problems without an agenda. That's what you want, really. And that's why I find it so fun. It can be very therapeutic for the person you're interviewing to just let them vent about whatever problems they're experiencing that day. You would be surprised how much closer you can get to someone just by hearing the questions here in the chat now. Janani Prasad, interview with friends, colleagues, a lot can go a bit out of the idea too, isn't it? It definitely can. You want to try to bring the ideas back to the idea, your questions back to whatever problem you think they're experiencing. But if people start talking about a different problem that you weren't anticipating, let them go. Let that person continue to describe that problem because, hey, there might be a more interesting business idea over there. Don't limit yourself to just what you think the business idea is, especially in the beginning. And typically, as a beginner, how to process our learning style in order to have more interested work and hoping to have enough knowledge and practice, even though we might end up bad at company. Interesting question. I'll try to get more into that, but I think what Adam said throughout the collab video speaks a lot to it. He didn't necessarily go into his work term looking to start a business idea. He was looking to solve problems for the client he was working for his employer. That can be a great way to, one, search for a business idea and inefficiencies, but two, make yourself better at your job anyway. So if you do this process, I think that you have a strong chance to get better at whatever work term or work placement you're in. Don'ts of an interview. We're not going to watch the video because we're going to do something fun in a moment. But essentially with your interview, you don't want to be attached to your assumptions. You want to stay open-minded. And just as we were talking about a second ago, you want to let the other person speak about what problems are most important to them. May not be what you think initially. Don't ask about the future. Asking about the future can be a bit difficult to get a read on. Asking someone if they would buy something can be very good, but that's if they understand the price and what it is and that sort of thing. If you say, oh, would you buy this solution? Someone might just say, yeah, Liam, of course I would, because they want to be your friend. And everyone wants to be friends with other people. It's rare to find someone who you meet for the first time who's going to say, no, your idea is trash, goodbye. That's very rare. People are nice. Don't let that niceness fool you into thinking you have a perfect idea from the get-go. Focus on insights and data, not opinions, but don't let those opinions be invaluable. Understanding is not easy. Our assumptions are more than often, they're usually wrong. A great example I've used in these sessions before is I don't know why I have that same breakfast every day. I truly don't. I assume it's because it's quick and easy, but there may be more to it. Maybe it came from partly my upbringing, or maybe it's the thing that I like the taste of the most. I haven't thought about it that much. I just make an assumption and move on. That's frequently what everyone thinks about. So if you make an assumption, be ready to challenge it. Be ready to try to change that assumption into an understanding. And try to avoid confirmation bias. It's easy to say, oh, I think this is the problem here and I think my solution's good. And then you ask someone, hey, do you think my solution's good? And if they say, yeah, you say, oh, that's a yes. And you write that down. That's a confirmation bias. And it's very, very tough to get out of that mindset, but it's important. Second, don't ask why. And when I say why, I mean the word why. Again, if someone was interviewing me about my breakfast and they said, why do you eat an egg and toast every day? It's like, I don't know, man. Chill out, bro. I'm just eating. I don't know. Leave me alone. It's very easy to feel attacked if someone asks you a pointed why like that. You need a level of familiarity before asking that question. So there's other ways to do that. Don't worry. Kate Sims, I know there's a point where the conversation interview will become too personable, but what is that point? Would it vary due to whatever the topic or interview is about? Absolutely. I think what we're talking about here in terms of personability is trust. If you can increase the level of trust someone has with you, that's almost never a bad thing. It's only really a bad thing if it distracts from the problem you're trying to get into. But increasing the level of trust, having someone be more open and honest with you, is always a good thing because that's what they really feel and that's how they actually perceive the problem. Janani, I end up having more ideas from interviews. So how do you figure out which one will be the one you should do? That's a great question, and I'll touch on that in a bit later. Here's a list of questions to find an inefficiency. Lots and lots of questions, and we'll share these later. Some great ones are, could you explain your daily day at work? Do you face any recurring issues? This asks someone to outline their process and highlight an inefficiency without using those terms that they may find confusing. And then, what is your biggest frustration at work? How could your job be made easier? Classic questions. And there's lots of them. All of these questions, do you have any strategies to make work more efficient? Is there something that's restricting a company and its employees from working effectively and efficiently? These are all asking why are you facing bad things, but in a different way? These are all different ways of asking why. And then these are more questions to explore an inefficiency. These are even better for asking why. For example, earlier you mentioned blank. Can you elaborate on that? Can you tell me about a time when you faced that problem and things went well or things went badly? That's a core question, because if you get someone to tell that story, frequently they will elaborate on why they think an inefficiency is happening in their own storytelling. And if anyone you're interviewing tells you they're not much of a storyteller, they are lying. Everyone loves to vent about their problems. They just need to develop a level of trust with you first, and then they can just start to get into the meat of things and really, really understand what it is going on. But all these questions as well are very, very valuable. And I believe we'll be sharing the slides. If not, I'll make sure these questions are shared with everyone. Then finally, after you explore the inefficiencies, or you find them, you explore them, and then you want to find a potential solution. So you want to ask them what they've already tried to solve this problem, how it went. Did it go well or badly? How do you go about that process differently if blank? How do you currently deal with this problem? What else should I ask you? These are ways to try to find what people have tried before, what they like about them, what they don't like about them. Another thing Adam from CoLab mentioned. Now, here we are. I've burned through a lot of things quite quickly. I know that we have more questions here, and I cannot wait to get to them. Kate and Riley, I will get to yours there in a moment. But before we do that, I was hoping to do, rather than show you videos again, hoping to do live versions of what a bad interview may look like when trying to find a problem, and what a good interview may look like when trying to find a problem. So Anea, if you will come up on stage, please, we can do a quick simulation. Hey, Anea, how's it going?
I'm good. How about you?
I am good. How am I doing on time? Am I going too long?
No, you were good so far.
Oh, amazing. That's what I love to hear. Thank you so much. So we have now explored why finding an inefficiency is a good thing. We've explored how that can help you find a problem, how you can collect interviews, and then finally, what makes an interview good. And that is eliminating bias, establishing trust, and focusing on their problems. So I'm going to interview Anea. Let's say Anea is I should look this way as well. Let's say Anea is a university student. We're both university students. We're kind of colleagues working with Memorial Center for Entrepreneurship or something like that. And I want to ask her about my great business idea, which is a used textbook sales app. How does that sound, Anea?
That sounds great. Students really need that, definitely.
All right, cool. Well, let's do a simulation starting now. Hey, Anea. So I have this really, really cool business idea. It's probably like the best thing out there in the world ever. I was just wondering, do you use textbooks?
Yeah, I definitely do. It's needed for most of my courses.
Okay, cool. And do you buy textbooks?
Yep.
Oh my God. Okay, this is amazing. Do you use apps on your phone?
I definitely do.
Okay. So like this is perfect. So would you use an amazing mobile app that makes it cheaper to buy books for free and it's environmentally friendly? Like, would you use that?
I would definitely use that, and I think it would be better if we also have it like compatible with iPads or bigger screens.
That's not really part of my thing, but just okay, whatever. We'll just forget that. But basically, you're a yes. You're a yes, is what you're saying, right? Okay, yes. That's amazing. This has been like the best interview ever. I think my business. Do you think my business idea is a good idea?
I think it is, but are there other competitors in the market? I'm just wondering.
No, there's nothing.
No?
There's
just
nothing.
You.
No, there's nothing. There's Facebook Marketplace and Kijiji and other things, but everyone hates those. Buy and sell group, everyone hates that. So I think this is perfect. I don't have any other questions for you. Goodbye.
Thank you.
And that's the end of the bad interview. Thank you very much, Anea. You did an excellent job. I have some immediate ideas. But does anyone in the chat have any suggestions about why that interview was bad? Can you think about what I told you today and highlight some of the reasons my interview was bad? And Anea, I'll ask you to in a second what you didn't like about the interview. Mm-hmm. But I would love to see some chats in here. Let me know how I was bad. Hopefully some people can throw some stuff in the chat, but I guess, Anea, we'll start with you anyway. What did you not like about that interview experience?
You were too focused on your business that it's great without, and like you were just looking for yes and no answers, not basically not looking for recommendations for my personal experiences or with like textbooks. It was just like yes or no. Do you use it? Yes. Would you use an app that does that? Yes. Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah. You and Lorraine both hit the nail on the head. A lot of confirmation bias. I didn't really care what you had to say. And I think that was pretty obvious to you, especially, but to everyone watching along as well. And then, whoa, we're getting lots of, okay, guys, I asked for how I was bad, but I mean, cut me some slack here. No, absolutely. I dismissed all of her ideas. My questions were not open-ended. Absolutely, Kamala. I didn't listen to it. Yeah, a big part of this is that I was straight up rude. Yeah. I didn't say thank you for doing this. I didn't introduce myself really. I didn't take the time to try to establish communication before I just did it, which is just not how you want to go. You want to be friendly. Really specific questions, Kate, Audrey, not open to the loopholes being told. Of course, clear yes or no answers from Janani, not building the conversation further. These are perfect responses, everyone. Thank you so much for calling me out on all the ways I'm bad. It will not affect my self-conscious in the least. But basically, what I didn't do was I didn't establish trust by being kind and respectful. I didn't let Anea bring her own thoughts to the table. I didn't have open-ended, unbiased questions. I didn't stay neutral. I confirmed my own biases. And I didn't learn anything about the problem. I just tried to confirm what I already thought. So thank you very much, Anea.
Thank you.
That was our simulation of a bad interview. Now, Vimbai, I will welcome you back to the stage if Anea can. Perfect. And we're going to do the good interview.
Okay.
How does that sound?
Sounds good.
So everyone out there who's called me out in the chat, you can now get ready to compliment me. I cannot wait. But basically, I will now do a simulation of a good interview for Vimbai. And what we'll be talking about today is we're both students and we're trying to be better at studying. Basically, we have a hard course and we're trying to study better. All right, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, cool. Hi, I'm Liam. I'm so thankful you could come and speak with me today about this little business idea I have.
Okay, Liam, nice to meet you. I'm excited to hear what you have in mind.
Yeah, awesome. So really, I just wanted to learn more about how you study. Like right now, today, how do you find your studying habits?
Well, typically I use the notes that we're given on Brightspace from our teachers, along with books that I illegally download on the internet.
I have a friend who has a really terrible business idea about that, but don't worry about them. So you use the notes and things like that. Could you tell me about a recent course in which your studying went really well? Was there anything special about the notes you received or anything like that?
I don't think there was anything special. It's just that I really enjoyed the class. I haven't had much luck with getting notes that were really good during my classes.
Okay, interesting. So what have you not liked about the notes that you've been receiving?
They don't elaborate enough. I find when professors are putting notes onto Brightspace, they're pretty brought down to just the basic facts. So if I don't have an accompanying $200 textbook, I miss out on a lot of information.
Right. So it's just a bullet point, and you're like, well, all right, I guess I don't know what that means. Okay, that's really interesting. That's really good to hear. Have you tried to get more information any ways other than buying a textbook? Like, I'll just leave it up to you, actually. Have you tried anything else?
I haven't. Me and my friends have looked for ways to get more affordable textbooks or better ways to study with our notes, but we haven't found them.
Do you study with friends?
Sometimes.
Okay, awesome. And is that process beneficial, do you find? How is that process of studying in a group?
It's beneficial because we get to share different ideas and different perspectives, and just everything that we read, we kind of bring that together and share that information. So it is quite beneficial.
Okay, awesome. Well, I've taken up enough of your time. Thank you so much. And I'll reach out in the future about this because I'd love to chat more about it as I learn some more information.
Okay, thank you, Liam. It was nice meeting you.
All right. And scene. That's the end. All right. So thank you so much, Bye. So just to quickly get some information from people in the oh, Capri, thank you so much for the compliments. People are saying that I was getting to the root of the issue of the interview. Vimbai, did you find that? What did you like about that interview?
I was able to express some of the things I found were working for me and weren't working for me without any leading type of questions or confirmation bias. You just asked me, and I just thought from the top of my head, like, okay, these are my main issues. So I felt heard, and you're very polite.
Thank you very much. That was the bigger thing, I think. I think the biggest thing, and we are running a little late, so I'll hurry this along. The biggest thing that people out there listening may have noticed is you don't know what business idea I was asking you about. I wasn't interviewing you about use textbook app. I was thinking about developing a different type of solution for a different problem. My problem was that online notes aren't very good right now, and it's hard to do self-study. That was the problem I was trying to learn more about. And I tried to eliminate all bias of that because I didn't want you to try to serve me up what you thought was the correct answers, if you know what I mean. And I learned so much from you about your study habits, what you found valuable, and what you don't. So if I was looking to then create, say, an AI-based study tutor tool, that's where these are the problems I would start with. Do you see what I mean? It's so great to talk to someone as well, not just myself. But thank you so much for participating in that. I think we're now ready to jump back to the slides and right into the activity. So the activity today, what we basically want from all of you folks is to combine your networking on Hopin with that exercise I just did. I want you all to try to do a good interview with someone. And we'll give you a couple minutes so you can do both be interviewed and interview someone, hopefully. And you should use the ideas that I just highlighted, which is a used textbook resale app, and this is some more details I gave about it, Text Talk, targeting university students looking for deals and legal alternatives for torrenting books, and an online AI-based study tutor, which is what I was doing the second interview about, which is targeting tech-savvy university students looking to improve their study habits for demanding courses. Now, remember, what I was doing in these situations was not looking for them to confirm my business idea, in the good example anyway. I was hoping to talk to someone about their problem and to learn more about what's going on. Loving the comments from Malika, Kate, Janani, Christopher. Thank you so much, folks. This really boosted my self-esteem all the way back up. But now that we're here, and I think it's time to put everyone into the networking groups. Anaya, did you want to provide any more details on how people get there? And are we ready to jump in there now? Or Vimbai, yes?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're good to go. How can I join in there, for example?
That's a question. So what we're going to do now is Liam has given us the assignment, and this will be done with a buddy in a room, like he said, and we're going to help you kind of pair up with a buddy. So what's going to happen is on the left side of your screen, there's a networking button that you just need to click on. You add your camera and your microphone, and after that, you will be matched with a buddy. So it should be about 12 minutes that will give you time to kind of do this. So maybe, I don't know if they're going to switch around or however they kind of want to do that, but you'll have like 12 minutes to kind of do that exercise with your buddy, maybe 6 minutes for you, 6 minutes for your other buddy, and then we'll have you all back in the main room. So
at the end, yeah.
Let me know if you have any questions.
Let's just start with one interview, and we'll hopefully get people to do some quick interviews there, because I know we don't have a lot of time left. So let's break you up now into the rooms on Hopin, and people can start networking.
Sounds good.
All right, and I'm going to try to join over there as well. I don't know how this will go, but I'll stop my camera, mute myself, and see how it can go. And yeah, so just one buddy. You'll do your interview to them, and then they'll interview you. Hi, I'm back. I'm in the show. Amazing. So that was really fun. I had a lot of fun being interviewed by Stephanie 80 about, rather than the business ideas I suggested, she interviewed me about something that she's working on, which was a fantastic experience. And they did an amazing job doing that interview. So I had a lot of fun. Basically, now we're just going to wrap things up. I posted in the chat that if you have any questions, please let us know. My email is lflanagan@investottawa.ca. We can share that around as well. If anyone has any further questions about interviewing, or they'd like to interview me, or whatever the case may be, I'd love to hear more. But really, the things I want you to get out of today, the most important things are, when you're interviewing someone, you want to start from the knowledge that you're looking for inefficiencies. You want to build trust with your interview person so that they can answer your questions accurately. You want to ask them open-ended and neutral questions to get as much information out of them as possible. And then finally, you want to just have fun. You want to have fun with them, and you want to learn more about everything that's going on. Janani, yes, during these types of conversations, there are every possibility to figure out a similar solution already existing. So in that case, should we figure out what the product is about, and should we still find out interested? Danny, great question. Is the event over? I can't tell. It might be, but no, this is just the final survey. That final question that I'll answer is, if you find a solution for the problem that you're identifying, find out what's good and what's bad about that solution. Just because a solution exists doesn't mean that it's the be-all, end-all and that it's perfect. It just means that there's demand in the problem that you're interested in seeing. So follow that road, find out more about that competing solution. And that's it. That's everything for me. Vimbai, you can come back up on stage and say thank you to everybody.
Yeah, thank you so much, Liam. And it's good to hear that some of you already were applying some of these skills to ask questions to do with your own business. So that's really awesome to hear. So once again, thanks, Liam, for your presentation and taking the time to be here this afternoon. Also, thank you to everybody for joining and participating. We really appreciate it, and we hope you had a lot to gain from the session. With that said, we hope to see you all again next week, Thursday, October 8th, 12 p.m. Atlantic time and 12:30 Newfoundland for the Staying Lean Net Workshop with Propel. So what this workshop is about is just learning to fill out the lean canvas, a one-page business plan, and begin your startup on the right foot. So we're really looking forward to seeing you all next week, and we hope you had a good time. Thank you, Liam. Thanks to everybody who organized this. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your day, folks.
Thanks, everybody. This was really fun.
Okay. Bye.